in 1995. CNN has not confirmed that story, but according to the Post, Louis Fox says Lewinsky and President Clinton were alone. Fox reportedly was stationed outside the Oval Office at the time. In the meanwhile, the mother of the former White House intern went before a grand jury yesterday. Marsha Lewis is expected to retake the stand for more questioning. Bob Franken has details.
Monica Lewinsky has yet to appear before the grand jury, but her mother has. Marsha Lewis spent 3 hours testifying, presumably about her daughter and her relationship with President Clinton, and she might come back.
She is under court order to appear as a witness and will have no further statement until she concluded her testimony.
Earlier in the day, Marsha Lewis's attorney Billy Martin had challenged Starr's subpoena. At the same time, the independent counsel made an unusual morning visit to the courthouse. Lewinsky, who remains in California, is supposed to appear before the Washington grand jury Thursday. Starr is trying to compel her to testify despite weeks of negotiations about immunity. Lewinsky's attorney, Bill Ginsburg, still insists he had an agreement in writing from Starr, although he's sounding more and more like a lawyer resigned to the fact that his client will testify soon.
She will appear before the grand jury whenever she is ordered to appear before the grand jury. She will not defy either a federal court order or a subpoena, and she will do what she has to do given the situation she finds herself in.
Sources tell CNN that lately Starr has been focusing on gifts Lewinsky allegedly got from the president. Those same gifts had been subpoenaed by the Paula Jones legal team in late December, but might have ended up back in the possession of the president's secretary, Betty Currie, possibly following a Lewinsky-Clinton White House meeting. In the Jones case, Judge Susan Weber Wright denied the president's motion to move the trial date from late May to next month. Clinton attorney Bob Bennett had argued that leaks and media attention, stretched out for 3.5 more months, could poison the civil case against the president. For the moment, though, the spotlight is on the federal courthouse here in Washington and the Starr investigation that actually grew out of the Jones lawsuit. Unless there's some sort of agreement, Monica Lewinsky will be called before the grand jury on Thursday, knowing that prosecutors could check on her story by calling back her mother. Bob Franken, CNN, Washington.
The United States is rallying support from more nations in its effort to strong-arm Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright says the Netherlands, Argentina, and Germany have joined the coalition that supports the use of force if diplomatic efforts fail to resolve the standoff over UN weapons inspections. The United States is deploying more firepower to the Persian Gulf, including 6 more F-117 stealth fighter bombers, 6 B-52 bombers, and a B-1 bomber. Albright told senators yesterday that the 30,000 U.S. troops in the region won't be sent in, but if a first airstrike fails, coalition forces will strike again.
We want very much to be able to solve this situation diplomatically. But if we are not able to, we will, in fact, use the force that we have now gathered in the Gulf. And the purpose of that use of force would be to substantially diminish Saddam Hussein's ability to reconstitute his weapons of mass destruction and the delivery systems for them, as well as not to threaten his neighbors.
Defense Secretary William Cohen is meeting with the Emir of Qatar today before flying to Bahrain. He's on the 5th stop of a 6-nation tour of the Middle East, trying to build an Arab coalition to support a U.S. strike. So far, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Oman have lined up with the United States. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Qatar are holding out for a diplomatic resolution. Well, as part of its post-Cold War restructuring plan, the Air Force is consolidating and cutting jobs at bases around the country. But there will be positions added at some bases. California, Texas, and Nebraska are taking the brunt of the cuts. Thousands of jobs in those states will be lost, but bases in Utah, Oklahoma, and Georgia will be adding jobs. At Georgia's Robins Air Force Base alone, more than 600 military jobs and almost 2,500 civilian jobs will be created through the year 2001. Prosecutors used secretly recorded telephone conversations to support their accusations of sexual misconduct against the Army's former top non-commissioned officer. On the tape, Sergeant Major Gene McKinney is heard urging one of his accusers to tell Army investigators he often spoke to her by phone about her career. She claimed that for 2 years, McKinney made unwanted advances, tried to kiss or grab her, and repeatedly called her at home.
Well, all you have to do is tell them that we talk a lot. You call the office sometime because you want to talk about career development and that kind of stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
That's all they need to know.
Well, okay.
That's it. I mean, we just talk about career development.
So,
Did we ever see each other? No. We haven't seen each other since, except the day you saw him in the yard.
McKinney has pleaded not guilty to 19 charges ranging from indecent assault and adultery to obstructing justice. An anti-abortion activist yesterday admitted he was responsible for a series of attacks on family planning clinics. Richard Andrews pleaded guilty to 8 counts of arson. He set 7 clinics on fire between 1992 and 1995, one of them twice. Andrews is expected to be sentenced to 6 years and 9 months in prison as part of his plea bargain. He could have received 10 years for each arson count. The government says the case shows its commitment to keeping clinics open.
When the smoke clears after a clinic arson or a bombing, the American people can rest assured that the federal agents will be there to help local law enforcement get to the bottom of what happened and find those who are responsible.
Andrews remains eligible for maximum sentencing, but it is doubtful the judge will go against the prosecutor's recommendation. Voters in Maine have narrowly repealed the state's gay rights law. That issue was put to voters after a coalition of conservative Christian groups collected more than 58,000 signatures to put the matter to a vote. The law prohibited discrimination against homosexuals in employment, housing, public accommodation, and credit. Maine was one of 10 states, including all of those in New England, with a gay rights law. It will be the first state to repeal it. Time now for the weather forecast, and then why health officials are warning expectant mothers about tap water.
With a look at your CNN headline news weather, I'm Karen McGinnis. Thunderstorms will rumble along the Gulf Coast region thanks to a powerful area of low pressure and a funnel system draped across the Gulf of Mexico. Colder air on the backside of the area of low pressure will trigger some snow showers through the Great Lakes. We'll expect some wet weather to move onshore into British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and northwestern California headed into Thursday. All temperatures will warm up across the interior west, but overnight, some of the coldest readings with single digits through the central Rockies. By the afternoon hours in Atlanta, with some thunderstorms rumbling around, temperatures in the mid-50s. New York, low 50s, so not a bad day there. Temperatures dropping in Memphis. Denver will see increasing clouds, and Los Angeles will be a bit breezy. The temperature will be above normal in Juneau, Alaska. Expect 39 degrees. Our extended forecast still sees some rainfall for the west coast, but mild readings across the Rockies. That continues into Friday, with more showers headed into Saturday for the west coast and snow for the Rockies.
California health officials have tested the effects of drinking water on pregnant women and found some disturbing results. Jennifer Arthur has more.
The California Department of Health Services tested more than 5,100 pregnant women in Fontana, Santa Clara, and Walnut Creek.
The area we studied, women who drank more than 5 glasses of tap water and not bottled water had about a 5-fold increased risk of miscarriage.
The study points to a contaminant in chlorinated water. Total trihalomethane forms when disinfectant chlorine mixes with plant acids. For years, TTHM has been linked to cancer, but this is the first time it's been associated with miscarriages. Dr. Swan says researchers factored in other things such as medical history, smoking, and a woman's age.
This is only the latest in a series of studies that indicates that these compounds in our tap water can cause health problems.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which helped pay for the study, allows up to 100 micrograms per liter of TTHMs in drinking water. In November, the EPA confirms it will drop the level allowed to 80 micrograms per liter. Researchers say all water used in the study met federal and state regulations.
I think today's study shows that EPA needs to go even further.
The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is urging pregnant women to boil water, use carbon-activated water filters, or let water stand in the refrigerator for hours before drinking.
If the risk is anything above 0, I think a pregnant woman needs to know
Federal and state officials say more research is needed before they issue public health recommendations. The Chlorine Chemical Council says it takes the findings seriously, adding that chlorine, despite any drawbacks, is still best for ridding tap water of infectious viruses. Anyone concerned should contact their utility to find out just how much of the chemical compound is in their tap water. And despite findings in this study and research to follow, pregnant women are still urged to drink plenty of fluids. No one is saying at this point to stop drinking tap water altogether. Jennifer Arthur, CNN, Los Angeles.
Well, the United States is adding to its medal list at the Nagano Winter Olympic Games. U.S. skier Peekaboo Streak pulled off a win. She captured the gold in the women's supergiant slalom. That was the second U.S. medal of the day. Austrians Michaela Dorfmeister and Alexandra Meisnitzer picked up the silver and bronze, and Johnny Mosley captured the first U.S. medal by winning the gold in the men's freestyle skiing moguls.